Okay guys, found a little bit different spot today to do a video, and I just wanted to maybe change up the scenario a little bit. I'm actually on a walking trail right now, and there are some things that I wanted to cover that you may not be familiar with that maybe I can help you out with. I'm hoping the noise above is not too bad, so maybe with me talking, I'll pause the video right now and then go back, listen to the audio and see, and then I'll continue from there. But I appreciate your patience. This is a very special video today. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is a natural state of ketosis versus a deep state of ketosis. What the state means, and basically the two different types of diets that we follow to be in a state of ketosis, which one of them the focus is not on ketosis and the other one is. So if you're following a ketogenic diet, your focus is being in ketosis, and we would say that somewhere 0.8, 0.9 is where most people sit, to about 1.5, 1.6, and they're happy there. There are some people that never even get into that state no matter what. Their body is just more efficient at using ketones than others. So if you don't have those ketones readily available in your body to show on a meter or something like that, your numbers are not going to be as high as somebody else. You may be more efficient at using those ketones than the next person. 5 years ago, if you would have said something like this, somebody would have probably said you're a fool, that's not true. The numbers on the meter, or on the calculation or whatever, are what matter. You want them higher. But the more we do this, the more we're starting to see a high number that indicates your ketone levels does not necessarily mean that you're any better than the next person. Now, if I have more ketones available during a fasted state or something like that, it's because my body's only breaking down fat as fuel, right? So if I'm using proteins and the carbs and stuff like that that I get traced from food, then my body's going to use those as fuel as well, so my numbers aren't going to be as high. But then when we start going back into that fasted state, the numbers start to creep up again. It's because we're only eating fat. We have no other fuel source, so our body's just chewing away at the stuff that's on our body. Naturally, that's why people lose fat so much. It's like you're basically dumping fat into your system, and your body has no other fuel source, so your ketone numbers are going to skyrocket. We got to use protein for different connective tissues. Different amino acid complexes get used for different situations. Protein gets used for muscle rebuilding and things like that, as well as wound healing. So our body uses amino acids and proteins as fuel as well. So does it uses carbs as well, sugar as well. So when you're on a carnivore diet and you're not eating large amounts of fats anymore, because your emphasis is on fat and protein, but you're eating more protein than what you're typically used to, your numbers don't ever really get as high as it does on a ketogenic diet. Most carnivores will never see those super high numbers that you see on keto. On keto, my numbers would get up to 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2.0. On carnivore, that's not the case. I might be 0.7, 0.8, 0.5, and my numbers never get any higher than that. So if you think you're on a carnivore diet and you're putting your emphasis in being in ketosis, you're probably not on the right diet. A carnivore diet is an autoimmune eliminating diet. The emphasis is not on ketones at all, zero. There is no emphasis on ketones. It's restricting the glucose, the sugars and stuff that go in your diet, so you can start ridding yourself of them inflammatory properties that raise your CRP levels and stuff like that. So if you're on a carnivore diet thinking that you're going to get really high ketone levels, almost not going to happen. Very rarely will you see a carnivore with something above 0.9, 1.0, 1.1 millimolar ketones. It just doesn't happen. People with fasting glucose numbers of 100 and above, or 120 and above, have really hard time getting high ketone levels. Your fasting glucose should be 100 milligrams per deciliter or less. Typically, most people wake up, if they're in a really clean if they're on a really clean diet, no sugars, no processed foods, stuff like that, they might be like 92, 88, Sometimes in fasted states you get down into the low 70s, the high 60s. Those are great numbers. So if you're doing everything correctly and you're eating the correct foods, but you don't have high ketone levels on a carnivore diet, you're fine. Carnivore is not, the emphasis is not put on high ketones. You're never going to see those high numbers unless you are an anomaly, or you might be an athlete that's in the gym pounding the weights and stuff all the time. You're really chewing that fuel up. On a ketogenic diet, because of the amount of fat and stuff you're eating and the lower protein numbers, your ketone levels will typically be higher. Not for everybody either, though. The emphasis on a carnivore diet is not to be in ketosis. It's to really rid yourself of all them inflammatory foods that you would have been having. Some even argue on a ketogenic diet, the oxalates, the salicylates, stuff like that you get from vegetables that can cause your inflammatory markers to go up on a ketogenic diet. So anyway, let's move on to vitamin C. I wrote an article up on Facebook today basically talking about vitamin C. There was a discussion and somebody said this is how much vitamin C you need. Actually, there is no recommended amount of vitamin C. We don't even have a hard amount that's been studied that says this is what you need. In the absence of sugar, in the absence of glucose being in the blood, the body doesn't really need vitamin C at all. Trace amounts are very, very sufficient. Vitamin C strengthens the collagen that encapsulates the ligaments, the tendons, things like that. And collagen actually trying not to stumble here. Collagen encapsulates the capillaries that support you. And when you have trace amounts of vitamin C on a carnivore diet, because you're not ingesting sugar and stuff like that, you need minimal amounts of vitamin C. I'm talking maybe one serving of liver one time a week would be sufficient for the entire week. A lot of people think that there's this, you need this crazy high number of vitamin C, and it's not true at all. Vitamin C is not that important as long as you're eating small pieces of organ from time to time, and there are trace amounts of vitamin C in meat. You're going to have people argue with you and try to complain about things and do all, you know what? These guys are the fairies that listen to the social butterfly doctors on social media. They're the ones that get involved in all the little keto groups where somebody's only been doing keto or carnivore for 6 months or a year, and they think they know everything about it, and they feed them all this baloney, and they have some success listening to somebody that knows the minimal amount, and then they come onto social media and they tell everybody else this is fact because it helped them a little bit. No, the reason it helped you a little bit is because you rid yourself of the junk. But all the information that you have is not quite correct. So the minimal amount of vitamin C would be sufficient. One to two servings a week, maybe 2 at max. Yeah, I mean, you could go more if you wanted to. That would be a sufficient amount of vitamin C on a carnivore diet. If you're on a ketogenic diet and you're eating things like chili peppers, bell peppers, things like that, you're getting plenty of vitamin C. Kale, spinach, those have tons of nutrients in it, but then you have that other crowd that argues, well, you're eating stuff for nutrients that has anti-nutrients in it, like oxalates, salicylates, stuff like that. So it's a matter of what you want to follow, but understanding the process of what you're doing while you're doing it. So just do your research, dig into this stuff. Maybe jump off social media and YouTube and stuff for a while and just do nothing but dig into studies and articles and things that people write up and see how much of it's true. You don't always have to come to the front and say, this is how you do it. And if you've been doing something for 6 months to a year and you think that you've got it figured out and you're ready to jump on social media and you're ready to teach a bunch of people, I would beg to differ. I was that person years and years and years ago, and then 2 years after starting, I finally started to realize that's when I began to actually understand what was going on. It wasn't 6 months and it wasn't a year. It took me several years to actually figure out how to actually help people and give them good information and stop saying this is written in stone, this is written in stone, this is factual, that's factual. I've changed my views over the years tremendously, dramatically. It's just, we just need to help each other and support each other and understand exactly what's going on, but not understand everything that's going on, because each one of us are individuals. You need different vitamin C than me. I need different vitamin C than the next person. A carnivore diet does not equal ketosis at all, zero. That is not the emphasis of a carnivore diet. And being on a ketogenic diet doesn't mean that you're having 80% fat and 15% protein. There's a different array from 60, 65 up to 80, 85, depending on your focus. Are you training? Are you in it for therapeutic reasons? There's a number of things. And for any one person to say this is what it is, you are wrong. That is not what it is. Things have changed so much over the last 20 years that none of us know exactly what is for the next person. All we can do is guide them based on what we believe and how we do things, and then pass it off to them and then let them do what they want with it from there. Thanks, guys. Be blessed and have a great day.